Hi, everyone. My name is Seth Reno, and I'm CEO and president of Arkayli Biopharma. And our experienced team are on a journey to change the way we're treating infant hemangiomas today. So you might be asking, what's the fancy word for infantile hemangioma? And really what it is, and you've probably seen these little red raspberries on infants very young of age, and they grow very, very rapidly. In fact, what they actually are is a structure of blood vessels that grow on top of the skin or just below the surface. And they become the most common type of childhood tumor. And each year, there's about 185,000 infants that are born with that. Now, at first, they start out very small and slow. And here, they can cause some complications if they're located around the eyes, the nose, or the ears. In particular, really affect sight of an infant early on and the hearing, which causes learning delays. And certainly if it's around the mouth, it can cause challenges with the infant being able to eat and also getting quite infected. So they become actually the number one leading cause of preventable childhood disfigurement. So infantile hemangiomas have been around for a very long time, as long as kids have. But honestly, there has been no drugs approved until about 7 years ago. Hemangiol, which is the formation of a beta blocker, propranolol, was approved in 2014. And it's actually an oral solution that's dosed 2 to 3 times a day. And on the other side, to the right of the slide, there's another drug that's being used quite a bit off-label. It's called timolol. And timolol eye drops were beta blocker eye drops designed for adults. And they're also applied 3 times a day to the infantile hemangioma. Now, the challenge with this is that both of these medications result in systemic absorption of beta blockers in very young infants. And that could be a challenge because it comes with some side effects. Namely, they come with cold, the kids can get cold extremities, they can have sleep disturbances, hypoglycemia, seizures, bronchospasms, all which are really unsettling for new parents. And the treatment duration is not short for this type of medical condition. It can last anywhere from 6 months up to 18 months. So as a result, a lot of primary care physicians do not treat immediately, and they actually send these kids on to dermatologists, which may take months to get an appointment. So Arkayli has come up with a topical self-forming solution that's designed for sensitive skin and is applied directly to the hemangioma. So it's not systemic, it's not oral. It's once a day, and it can be washed off very simply with soap and water. It's not systemically absorbed. And what's important about that is that will eliminate a lot of the cascade of the unnecessary side effects that we just spoke about. So pediatricians and parents especially will feel confident in being able to treat the infantile hemangioma early when they first see it. As an example, coming out of the hospital at week 1 or week 2, knowing that the safety benefit risk factor, there's going to be no side effects that actually accompany this. So here's basically how it's broken out of 185,000 infants that are born each year. A little bit more than half of these kids will actually need early intervention to prevent complications and scarring. And 12% of these cases will look a little bit more like the patient on slide 3. They'll be fairly serious. And this is really, again, a challenge because these kids are not getting treated early and have to wait months before they actually can get to see a pediatric dermatologist. And just so you know, there's plenty of pediatricians out there, 55 to 60,000. But when it comes to pediatric dermatologists that treat this, there's about 600. So you can see a little bit of a bottleneck. And as I mentioned, hemangiol, which is propranolol, was approved in 2014. But because of the side effect profile and the hesitancy of providing oral beta blockers for kids, propranolol has actually started to build the market because before that, there was only, steroids and physicians don't like giving steroids to infants for that duration of time, for 6 months to 18 months. But there has been a slow market build. But despite that, only about 28%, so a little bit more than a quarter of the kids are actually being treated or intervention. And so we're looking to change that with a drug that has a much safer benefit risk profile. So if you look at the market size that we're currently working with today, and this has been pretty stable over the last decade, 185,000 kids, 55% of those kids will have significant, or severe sequelae. And about 10% of those types of patients will also need to still have an oral therapy just because of the size or the location of the infantile hemangioma. So we estimate conservatively about 92,000 kids a year will be eligible for topical therapy. And so if you combine that with the current cost of hemangiol, that's about a $1.1 billion marketplace. So one of the important things when you start thinking about trials and what causes failure in drug trial are the endpoints, the primary endpoint. In particular, if it's a cloudy, vision of what is quantifiable in a primary endpoint. And one of the advantages that we have today is a technology that is available to us. It's basically helps quantify an advanced photographic technology that helps quantify the size and the redness versus years ago, this used to be assessed and conducted by individual healthcare providers at different sites. And there was significant variance. And because of that variance, many of those drug trials had a very difficult time in proving that their efficacy was valid. So one of the things that I also wanted to cover here is for intellectual property and regulatory pathway. Esmolol is the beta blocker, the short-acting beta blocker that we are using in a number of formulations that we're currently testing. And the advantage that we have with that is that it's already used in pediatrics in an IV formulation, but has never been formulated in any other way. So this would qualify for the 505(b)(2) pathway. And because this is an orphan designation, you automatically get 7 years of exclusivity. Pediatrics to that, you get 6 more months, so you get 7.5 years of exclusivity. So we have a really experienced team. The lead clinician is a physician out of University of Wisconsin, Dr. Beth Drolet. She's been treating infantile hemangiomas for over 2.5 decades. She sees 400 infantile hemangiomas come through her clinic every year. The team has designed a very efficient R&D program to get through the proof of concept in phase 1 for approximately $4 million, which is just a extremely efficient program. Currently, we have from about 3.5 weeks ago, we opened up a seed round with a $1 million safe note. It comes with a 20% discount and a $10 million pre-evaluation cap. We currently have raised $500,000 and have actually started the program to scale for the CMC and also get the mini pig study going as well. So the first $500,000 will go towards putting in our orphan designation, which we anticipate approval for in about 65 days, scheduling a pre-IND meeting with the FDA, completing the preclinical mini pig study, and that information will be used in that pre-IND meeting. We've already started to scale our CMC manufacturing as well. And one of the things that we're really proud about is we put in about 2 months ago for a non-dilutive grant from the University of Wisconsin. We were able to get $70,000 there. So we're looking for investors, fundamental investors, to join us to change the paradigm in treating IH from day one and reducing the #1 cause of preventable childhood disfigurement.